YouTube, Overwatch Classic is in the game, but there is a main patch for the base game. If you don't want to play it, right, you can avoid this and just play regular quick play or regular comp. If you're tired of Classic, tired of 5-man Mercy reses and 10 Winston bubbles, 2 overloaded Torbs. So I will cover, and 2 CP, of course. I will cover the main patch note first for those who are uninterested and give some thoughts on it. So let's start from the top. There's Overwatch Classic for 3 weeks. 6v6, no limits at first, but then they're gonna do a what's it called, limit it later, like a week later or something, where you can't pick 6 Torbs anymore. That's the first thing. Number 2, it says for Warcraft, there's an anniversary event from November 15th, 22nd. Receive free rewards if you play Warcraft, I guess. Or I guess for Overwatch, you get a reward just to celebrate Warcraft's 30 years. Okay, cool. Actual patch notes for the base game. Doomfist Rocket Punch. Angle required for the wall slam is increased from 44 to 55 degrees. Meteor Strike is getting a buff. The cost is reduced by 8%, and the healing while in the air is from 75 to 90. I think you're in the air for 4 seconds at most, so that's 360 HP. This one is a buff to Rocket Punch. They say it in the dev comments here, but it makes it slightly easier to trigger the wall slam, which would result in fewer enemies sliding across the wall. When they say wall slam, it's when you punch somebody, and sometimes the angle it requires for the target to hit the wall used to be 44 degrees before they actually get stunned on the wall and take the extra damage. The forgiveness angle is bigger, which means they won't slide as much when you punch them. So these are 3 buffs for Doomfist. I can think of one right off the top of my head. Numbani, the new Numbani rework on the first point. There's a new stairwell in the back where it's really curvy. I remember when Doom came to me and he punched me and I just slid across and just slid down without taking the stun. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I think this angle changes and it'll make it more reliable, I guess, for Doom players. It's not for going up, it's for going left to right. Wait a minute, I take it back. What do you mean it's for going left to right? It's for just sliding across it, sliding down from left to right or whatever, right? Okay, well, regardless. All I gotta know is Rocket Punch seems to be more forgiving in terms of hitting them against the wall and stunning. Okay, next. Junker Queen. This one was interesting to me because they're actually nerfing Queen's knife by like 25%, right? 0.2 to 0.15 meters. That is kind of a big nerf to the size of your knife. And the Adrenaline Rush is like her entire passive. The entire wound self-healing multiplier is reduced by 2.5 to 2.25x. So overall, Queen sustained nerfs the knife size. And the reason why is apparently Junker Queen was the top performing tank that entire patch, and she kind of just slid under the radar. Unless you guys have noticed, Queen was going kind of crazy just before this mid-season patch. But apparently Queen was the best tank. And apparently Mauga was the worst tank. So they buffed Overrun. The cooldown is reduced from 6 to 5 seconds, and the charge movement speed is increased by 15%. So you can run a bit more often, and the speed while you're running is a little bit faster as well. Hanzo buffs as well. This one is crazy. We're gonna have to like check all the interactions. Koji, I want to do them all with all the different interactions here, but first of all, Stormbow, the time to fully like charge your bow is decreased, so like it means it's faster to tighten and get the full damage. That's number 1. But number 2, Dragonstrike now damages enemy buildable objects, and the dev comments clarified this damages non-player entities such as barriers, turrets, traps, and mines. So Hammond has mines on the ground, Hanzo Dragon clears it. Winston Bubble in the air, this shit clears it. Sigma leaves his shield up, it clears it. If Hanzo is dragoning you and you have to duck out of the way for a bit, but also block stuff and your shield is touching it, that shit's gonna get tick, 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 tick. The biggest thing here is barriers. Next is obviously clearing Hammond mines, but this is a singled one out. And I guess, Junkrat mines, Junkrat traps, Torb turrets, Symmetra turrets. You know, sometimes it's hard to like push into like Lijiang because Symmetra has like a whole setup there. If your Hanzo Dragon just gets sent through, you can clear all of those too. This would probably include Bap Lamp. Does it include Lamp? Bap Lamp would be a crazy one, actually. It should, though, if we're talking about all non-player entities. But actually, if it's non-player entities, does that mean Bob? I mean, Bob always got damaged then, so. Pedal Platform, maybe May Wall. There's a lot to actually consider. Life Weave Retreat. Dude, there's actually so much. Okay, so that's big Hanzo buffs, by the way. More usefulness for Dragonstrike being a glorified zoning tool. Junkrat, getting a nerf, believe it or not. The cooldown between your concussion mine going from 7 to 8 seconds. So apparently they're increasing the mine to reduce the frequency of both Junkrat's mobility and burst damage combo. I mean, I don't personally think Junkrat's very strong in the high end, but like maybe he was causing problems. That sounds interesting. I mean, they have their data in the back end, but like as a player feeling it in the game, it doesn't feel like he's like that oppressive still. Reaper, apparently Reaper was actually low-key. Reaper was getting really good in recent patches because of the burst meta, and having his 300 HP escape tool in wraith form and life stealing so much was actually kind of overwhelming apparently. So they reduced his life steal from 35% to 30%. Passive is turned down, 300 health, more reliable mobility after the cast time reduction to shadow step. Reaper nerfed. Tracer rebuffed. Cooldown of recall reduced from 13 to 12 seconds. Not too bad. This is a revert to a previous nerf now that Tracer is less threatening due to pulse pistol damage coming down recently. So obviously they nerfed the pulse pistol a couple of patches ago. And then before that, when they were looking at Tracer nerfs, they reduced like recall cooldown or nerfed recall cooldown. They're just buffing this, but keeping the pistol damage low. I think it's okay. Next, Ana buffs. Damage and healing increase from 70 to 75 for both. This is significant for certain breakpoints on certain heroes. They even said it here. The damage value has gone up and down for significant breakpoints. Offensively, there's a couple of 225 HP heroes in the game where this gets affected, right? Who's 225 HP in the game? Juno, Kiriko, Moira, Lucio. This is kind of big, in my opinion. Yeah, most of the half of supports are 225 right now because 70, previously at 70 times 3 shots is only 210, but 75 times 3 is 225. So it's perfect to 3-tap people again instead of 4-tapping them. So this is a huge buff for Ana. I'm an Ana main. Oh, and Echo and Pharah. Wait, that was the big ones because they're the flyers at 225. So that means they're actually way better at, she's way better at like holding them down again. Because if they're in the distance and don't receive any pocket, that's actually a bigger significance because as Ana, yes, you can shoot supports, but like picking her to help specifically deal with the flyers is crazy. Oh, and no, you can't choose shot Tracer. Tracer's at 175 HP, not 150. Juno, another nerf, honestly well needed. Even after her fall off damage nerfs at the beginning of season 13, I do think Orbital Ray was still too good of an ultimate. The cost was increased by 10% again. Still overperforming last season, still proven to be one of the best support ultimates, which I agree. This is fine. I still think she's still pretty good after this, still top tier. Kiriko receiving a ton of buffs. They said Kiriko was heavily impacted by the health reduction to 225 HP. And she was already on the weaker side of support heroes, so we're lightly reducing her ability cooldowns and weapon recovery to add some effectiveness back into her. Kiriko has always been a low-performing support across at most ranks. Pretty decent at high ranks, but this will probably put her and Ana as the top supports, along with Juno still. But kunai recovery time decreased from 0.55 to 0.5. Recovery time is such a weird concept that they use. They should just say like attack speed instead of recovery time because that's a bit more intuitive. I get why, but like this basically means if this number goes down, there's less time you have to wait between your shots. So this changes it. So I think you can double kunai into heal, double kunai into heal, double kunai into heal without losing any APM or effectiveness. But this basically means you shoot your kunais faster. The numbers don't do it justice. If you play enough Kiriko and you just like see how it feels to just nonstop throw kunais, this is more of a feels faster and it clicks a little bit more. Okay, Swift Step cooldown going down by a second, Suzu cooldown going down by a second. So 3 straight buffs for Kiriko as well because apparently she's underperforming the most. Lifeweaver, more buffs for Lifeweaver. Life Grip is great for repositioning allies to help save them, but also telegraphs where they're gonna end up, so they may take a bunch of damage right afterwards. Adding a bit more healing to help this happen less often, but we'll keep an eye on it so we don't overdo it. So grip cooldown 19 to 18 seconds. I think grip used to be 16 seconds. They nerfed it to 19 and now they brought it back down to 18 as another small buff as an in-between. Healing when you grip them is 50 to 75 seconds. Okay, this is like whatever to me, but I think the bigger thing is Tree of Life for like a big team fight breakout. The time before your overhealth begins to drain when you're actually out of the tree pumping range is increased from 2.5 to 6 seconds. So I could actually like sit in the ult, get a shit ton of overhealth, walk out of the fight for 6 seconds and still like be like 300, 400 HP or whatever, thanks to the tree. So I actually think this is a much bigger buff than the grip personally. Usually when you grip them, they're already safe and the healing is pretty negligible. 1 second cooldown, okay, whatever. But this Tree of Life thing seems way better than relatively speaking compared to the other stuff. Does this make Lifeweaver like meta? I don't think so. I've always said this before, but Lifeweaver by his design, by nature, is always like a reactive passive hero. I mean, I guess you can be more proactive with the Tree of Life now in a sense, but like because his whole design is to react defensively, he's a very stable, like solid, probably 50% win rate, but it's be that like winning playmaking kind of support compared to Juno or Kiriko or Ana, where you can just like take huge offensive kind of like proactivity versus like a reactive wait for like a fight to break out before treat. But then I guess this kind of promotes that proactivity, so maybe I'm wrong here, but that's just kind of how I've always seen this hero and kind of how it's been. Despite all the buffs we've seen for Lifeweaver over the past year and a half, you've seen time and time again, this guy's never been meta, and that's just by design. Unless they're like a crazy outlier, that's just how it's gonna be until, I mean, they're trying though. Like the Thorns are a little bit better to be more proactive and offensive and all that kind of stuff. And he's also a little boring. Like fun factor is important as well. Like meta is one thing, but like people will still play heroes that were fun. Like Genji Ryan cannot be meta, and like they'll still be played a lot. Final thing is a Moira buff. The self-healing increased from 24 to 30 HP per second. They're saying Moira wasn't adversely affected by the move to 225 HP, but she could use a small boost to her survivability. I disagree with that. I think Moira is already very survivable, very safe with Fade. Totally unnecessary buff. Doesn't chain move the needle, but like, I know people hate the term micro buff, but this to me is like the definition of a micro buff. Completely unnecessary. She's already pretty hard to kill, especially if she heal orbs in a room. Self-healing is already pretty strong. She's easy, she's safe. Unnecessary in my opinion, but it doesn't change anything. But if we do 10 more micro buffs, then we start running into problems. Couple of bug fixes here. What's significant here? Fix an issue with cosmetic voice lines being heard by other players. This is probably the My Hero Reinhardt. You actually hear him say Detroit Smash and stuff now, because everybody was like, why isn't he not saying Detroit Smash? That would be the first thing that should be in like a voice line like this for All Might, because that's iconic to his anime character. Apparently that was always supposed to be in there, but it was bugged and it wasn't showing, but now it's there. So there you go. Maps, Circuit Royale, Soup Rooms had some lighting issues. Petra, okay, is available. Ana, this is some mythic weapon, like cosmetic stuff. Ooh, this one's like an actual gameplay one. Ramatra, fix an issue where Ramatra could recast the barrier if he was stunned while casting the first barrier. So I think you could cast, if you got stunned at a, like, you get punished for stunning the Ram, because he puts up a shield, gets stunned, and he can put up a second one. And then for Zarya, fix an issue where Zarya could avoid taking damage from a Rhine pin. Yeah, because you could like hold the bubble button down as you get pinned and like stop it. This is actually a pretty big mid-season patch, all things considered. This is a lot more changes than I expected, especially when their whole marketing campaign was Overwatch Classic. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you very much, and peace.